Hey guys, Kevin Shaw here, editor-in-chief of Mopar Connection Magazine. We're here at Extreme Detailing in Pell City, Alabama with Dan Baker and of course Mike Wilkins with his gorgeous 70 Hemi Cuda that you guys might know in the magazine as the Comeback Cuda. We've documented probably over 24 articles on building this car, if not more, like 3 dozen articles. And although it looks absolutely perfect on camera, we're here to make it look even more perfect. So we reached out to Dan. Dan said absolutely bring the car down. We're going to be here for 2 days. He's going to thrash on this car. Believe it or not, he somehow found little mistakes and little things, and he's going to walk through how he corrects it. And then once we do color correction, we're going to ceramic coat the whole car. So hang tight. This will be a really fun episode for you guys who are meticulous like Mike. You're going to want to check out all the neat little tricks and tips that Dan's going to share with us. Hey guys, real quick, we got a whole mess of new Mopar Connection Magazine T-shirts for sale. They're up here at the Mopar Connection store. We're going to put the link up in the corner, and we have some really cool designs. The first one is my favorite, and this is called the Order of the Big Block. And as you can see, you're getting the full rotation of the big block firing order right here on your back. And in case you forget, you can have your buddy turn around and you can set your firing order the right way and not mess up. Second, we've got the What Does Mopar Mean to You? And it's a whole script of different definitions that have been some of the most popular ones that we've seen over the years. It's not all of them, but it's a snapshot of some of the best ones. So show your loyalty to Mopar by wearing it loud and proud. Grab yours at the store today. We'll put the link up in the corner.
First, what we're going to do, we're going to do an evaluation of your car. We're going to actually look at the paint quality. We're going to kill the big lights. We're going to turn on the paint correction lights. We're going to actually start looking and marking all of the defects. Once we find all the defects, then we know what we've got to do. We're going to mask the car off entirely. All the chromes, the top's going to be covered. We're going to put wheel covers on there, all the protection to make sure nothing gets hit with the machine. Okay, after that, we basically do the paint correction, and we'll come up with the best combination of pads, compounds. We'll do the paint correction, do another inspection, prep wipe, ceramic coat, and after that, we'll just look at it outside in natural light, and we'll evaluate it out there. Okay, now just walk down through there, Mike, and you can start seeing just how scratched.
Right, yeah, you can see those scratches.
It's popping big time, okay?
Yep.
You've got micro scratching.
Okay.
Yeah,
nothing deep.
it's from the cover.
Yeah, covers are bad. Not so bad on the door, looks pretty good, but up here by the handle, you've got a lot of stuff going on, which is common because people are in and out of it. So same thing back here. Oh my gosh, if you drop down low, you can see it's just really scratched up, Mike. And I believe that's probably from your cover.
Yep.
I think some of it may be some rotary work left behind. When I look at it, I don't know, but it looks like it through here. Cleans up back here a little bit, okay? So we'll jump to the other side. Actually, you can look at the deck lid back through here too. You got some micro scratches.
Right.
Some kind of heavy sanding here, what we talked about before. We jump to this side. Same situation, which is killing your gloss. The gloss isn't where it needs to be, and we're going to be taking gloss readings with data to see where we start and where we finish. There's a lot of pigtails going on here. If you look close into it, you see all the pigtails left over?
Yeah.
Pigtail is basically where you take like 3M pads, 3M 3000 grit, and you're supposed to put on a DA, but you're supposed to use an interface pad. So as you're sanding, something gets caught in the actual sandpaper, and it leaves what we call pigtails. So it's unfortunately something that happens, but they're just not cut all the way out. So my guess is we're going to be using probably wool pads. These are Roops wool pads. Super aggressive. There's no need to put a rotary machine on this because the defects. Now, once we get into some of these ditch areas,
Yeah.
we'll probably do a little rotary work. But because the defects aren't terrible on the hood, we're going to probably do a dual action and use a wool pad. And my guess is we're probably going to use Ultimate Cut or Cut Max. I'm going to start with Cut Max. If that doesn't do it, then we work our way up to Ultimate Cut. Okay. So no fillers in these products. This is all just, you've heard of Sonox before, I'm sure. Just a super good product. We're going to get some new microfibers. I like starting out with new. We're going to be using a 15. We've got 15s, we've got 21s, but I like a 15. 21s I use on the bigger vehicles. We'll be using that.
Now, when you say 15, that's 15.
15 mil throw.
Okay.
So it's got a 15 millimeter throw versus a 21 with a 5-inch backing plate versus a 6-inch backing plate.
Okay. And the 6-inch has how much?
It's a 21.
21.
21.
Okay.
And then we're going to break out a couple of the Flex 3-inch.
That's what I definitely need to buy.
Yeah, those are unbelievable machines.
Yeah, I definitely want to buy some, at least one of those.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. I'm going to get a couple pads for that. So we're probably going to cut with these two, being the hard PPG clear coat. We're probably going to finish down with the yellow. We're going to start there. If I need to back it down to an orange, then we'll go orange. Okay? So this is kind of what I'm thinking right now. So we will do a test section, but before I do that, I want to wipe down your car a little bit.
Right.
Blow it off. Just make sure there's nothing on there that's going to hurt anything. Okay, now I'm going to use a little bit of waterless wash. And I'm actually going to, I don't believe we're going to need a clay, but I want to make sure. Have you clay barred this car ever?
No.
No.
And you're getting basically spray wax off, any spray detailer off?
Well, not necessarily. This is just a waterless wash. So I'm making sure that there's no dust particles, anything like that on the paint.
Gotcha.
When we start cutting, that's when we're going to remove everything he has ever sprayed on this car. But I always love to feel them, because you can feel if there's things embedded in the clear coat.
Right.
This feels pretty good, but I still want to do a little sample here with some clay and see if I can't pull any off. One more little section up here. So we got clean clay at the moment, nothing on there, brand new. We're just going to make sure there's nothing in there.
I was always curious as to how much pressure you use on the clay.
No,
I've never used clay.
It's not much, you just let it float.
Let it float.
Let it float, work it kind of fast.
Let it do the work, huh?
Yes, but it is not picking up anything, it's slick.
Okay.
So sometimes this is the best way to do it, just to confirm. A lot of people, oh, you have to clay the entire thing. No, you don't, because there's nothing on there. So
coming up.
when I clay, I create marring, which creates defects, more or less, that I have to machine out. So you're just creating work if you feel like you've got to go ahead and just clay everything you don't.
Okay, so wool pad, and we're using what?
Cut Max by Sonox.
Okay.
So it's got a cutting power, which is a 6 and gloss of 4. So it's going to cut out the big scratches, but it's not going to leave a big gloss, and that's when we'll step it out to something a little finer.
Okay.
Okay.
What kind of speed were you running on that?
Speed 4 and 5.
4 and 5?
Yep.
Okay.
Because we have a very hard clear coat, so I'm not really, and we have a lot of clear coat as well.
Right.
So there you can see those micro scratches are gone that were here, and it didn't even mar the paint.
No. Not at all. It's like you don't even have to buy.
I know, but we're going to two-step.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like fantastic.
Yeah, so you can see the difference between here and here.
Oh, yeah,
Probably
night and
hard
day.
to pick it up in the camera.
Yeah.
Camera's showing just very, very little, but
Yeah. there's a difference. Okay. So this is the thing about, like right here, Mike, if I stand here, you've got a lot, this is where you were having trouble.
Right.
See all that sand marks right there? A lot of sand marks, right?
Right.
That's where you need that 3-inch tool.
Yep.
Now I still see some here. I need to work this little area right here a little bit, but we're going to work this and get those sand marks out of there.
Okay.
What's cool about this flex tool, you can take this out, straight shaft it, and turn it into a rotary within seconds,
Okay.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and hit all these sand marks right here. Oh golly, yeah, much better.
Yeah.
It ate it up.
So, quick question.
Yes.
I just saw you doing the spine of the hood, and a lot of times you'll see guys who burn through, say, corners, or you have really pronounced edges.
Absolutely.
What's the trick when it comes to making sure that as you're going through and doing paint correction and polishing paint, that you're not digging in and killing those sharp edges?
The burning. You don't want to burn the edges.
You don't want to burn the edges.
Okay, so my thing is, number one, I'm using a dual action.
Okay.
Right, so dual action is not going to cut a ton. I know there's a lot of clear coat on here because we've already measured it.
Right.
So we got heavy clear. I'm not using a rotary, so this thing is not going to get super hot.
Okay.
And I don't come right up on the ridge. I run the side of the ridge. So everything's rotating a certain way. So I'm not going to be causing any issues with the ridge, burning it.
Okay. And are you not kind of moving it up into that ridge?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
and you can see he's buffing away from
so
the
I'm
edge.
actually buffing away. So I'm not cutting into the actual ridge itself, creating that friction and heat. So therefore I'm not going to burn it.
Okay.
It doesn't even phase me. Now if I had a rotary here, it's a different story because a rotary is like a grinder.
It can
Okay.
eat up a lot
It
of
can eat it
stuff.
up. So because of the dual action, heavy clear coat, running the machine a certain way, I'm not concerned about burning the ridge.
So it's both a matter of technique and tool?
Absolutely,
Okay.
100%. Hard clear coat, lots of clear coat, so I'm not scared.
Okay.
I'm not scared. If it
But
was
for
thin-
a guy who, say, is doing this at his home garage, may not have the best surface,
yeah.
is there, what's the technique that you would suggest just to kind of make sure that they're not burning all their edges?
Well, a lot of times, if I started out, I used to run a tape line.
Okay.
Just put tape on the edges of them, put tapes out here, so that way I'm not on the actual bend
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So I'm staying right off it, because it's like a razor blade. It's hard to get paint to stick to these areas. So I would say first mask it off, use a dual action, and don't get real aggressive with your compound and your pad.
Okay.
Step 2, so we're going to trim it in. We're using orange pad. I decided to go orange pad. And I'm using what we call Geon compound. It's a primer compound. Stuff is amazing. And what's great about this compound, because it's a primer polish, you really don't need to prep wipe the surface before it's coated. But I always prep wipe before I coat because you just never know. I could have a thumbprint, a little bit of oil here and there, and I know for sure once I get it off of there, it's clean and ready for ceramic coating.
Yeah.
This is a gloss reader, so what we're trying to do is take some data before the correction and after to make sure that we're making improvements.
Have
Bottom
something
line.
to measure.
I love data. So we got 97.9, 98. So that's pretty stout.
And is that taking like a refractive?
Yes, it's
Reading?
exactly what it's doing.
Okay.
Exactly what it's doing.
Look at me.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, 98's not bad, but you've also got a lot of quick detailer on this thing.
You think?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Like every time I
Yeah.
touch the car.
Right. So because of all of the quick detailer, it's giving it a good gloss, but honestly, the paint's not that glossy,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Like right here, where we've got a worse condition, see it jumped down a little bit, so if I hit that spot right there, see we're 89.9 where those sand marks are.
Yeah.
So that's killing the gloss. It's killing the gloss. And that's because of the sand marks.
Yep.
So, yeah, I love taking data. The customers, I always show it to them where we start and where we finish. But it helps me understand more about how effective the correction is.
Right.
And normally, I can make some pretty big improvements. The coating only gives you maybe 1 or 2 units of gloss. It's all about the correction.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should look like it's ceramic coated before it's
Before
coated.
you do it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The other is just for protection.
That's right. That's right. So a lot of guys feel like you've got to load the pad with product.
Okay.
And sometimes that kills it. You don't need a ton of product. Let the product work in, let the machine and the pad do the work. But if you start loading this up, you actually lose cutting power.
Oh.
You really do.
You're just
because it just
smearing.
plugs the actual pad.
Okay.
So just a little tip. Yeah, got one. There's a half mooner right there. We're up at 96.8.
All right.
Or 96.
And where were we? 88?
88. 89? Yeah,
Okay,
89?
and now you're at 96?
96.
Just a little difference.
Yeah.
It's still a little warm. 96.
96, there you go.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. For where you.
That's a big change.
Yeah, big change. So this little area is a little trickier. So I'm going to show you something that I do. This is what will scare some people. It doesn't scare me. Now what this will do, remove the scratches, but it's also going to leave rotary tracks. But then we'll come back and actually clean up the rotary tracks. So again, microfiber pad, foam, so it's got good give on the contours. I can move it back and forth, and we're just going to go slow. Again, it's a rotary machine, so you don't want to come up here on the edge.
Okay.
Right.
Because you will burn it.
Yep.
So we're just going to gently, kind of low speed it.
I was going to say, you're at a low RPM right there.
Low RPM. And we're just going to kind of work it nice and slow. And what's nice about this too, I can get pretty tight right up against that mold.
Yeah.
See, I'm angling it, so I'm up here, so I'm not doing
Into
this.
the curve.
Now this one, you gotta be careful because it is a pretty aggressive pad. But it's all about pressure and speed.
Right.
But it is a true wool pad. But the microfiber wasn't cutting it.
Right.
So we've got to step it up a little bit. Keep it moving. Stay off the edges. Inspect your work. A lot of rotary tracks now. So you can see all the rotary tracks, but it's taking out the micro scratches. Yeah. We can clean up the rotary tracks.
Yeah.
So again, I'm still using a rotary, but I'm using a foam pad now, which the foam pad will take a lot of these tracks away. Will it take it all the way? Probably not, but I'll come back with a dual action after I'm done here. Slow that down. Slow it over. It's coming out. Actually, I'm going to go to a white pad now. White is a little softer. So now we're on a dual action. So I can clean up anything that's left. For this compound should get right in there. Oh yeah, see now you don't see the rotary tracks here. They're gone.
All right, so Dan just spent probably about 20 minutes on the top of this fender.
Yeah, probably 20 minutes.
Took a few passes. And this is the untreated, uncorrected, I should say. I don't know if you guys can see clarity. I'm going to get in and just look at the sharpness of the line.
Still don't like around here.
You can take a peek at the sharpness of the reflection of the lights. And we're going to walk over
Oh, I see what you're saying.
and look at the sharpness. Here we go. Let's see if I can't get out of the light there. Well, yeah, the sharpness of the reflection is a lot better. So that's what's happening here. All right, Dan, can you fill me in on what you're doing right now?
Sure. So, probably Mike's worst place the sides of this car. So a lot of micro scratching, and I think it's from his car cover. So he's not going to use the car cover anymore. He's going to use pretty much a plastic bag, right, Mike?
Yep.
So we've got a lot of scratches. Again, we're using a wool pad, Cut Max, because it's taken a little bit to get it out, but it's coming out pretty good. Just machining out the scratches first, and then we'll come back and polish it to give it that really bright shine. But for the most part, we're just continuing on with the paint correction.
Now, I did notice you turned off a lot of the lights and you put on your specialty lights. What is the purpose of that?
Okay, so the darker you can get it in here and use your paint correction lights, the more these defects are going to show up.
Oh, interesting.
Therefore, I can see what the heck I'm doing and making sure that I can, I guess, look at it from any angle, but the lights just pull out all the defects. These are designed for paint correction. They're specialty lights.
You were saying that depending on the color of the car, you could actually change
Yes.
the hue of your lights.
That's right, that's right. So let me show you, for example.
Okay. Oh, yeah, look how
Yeah.
blue those are. Okay.
Right, so darker colors, you want more of a bright color, where if you've got a light color car, you just want to change that hue.
Gets a little warmer.
Just gets a little warmer, so it pulls out the defects. So that's the purpose. Like, I like kind of that. Yeah, see that? I can't really tell too much.
Doesn't help because it's
That's right, it blends
same
in
color.
too much, right? So you brighten it up, and now it pulls out the defects more.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
again, specialty lights are everything. I mean, lighting in general, you've got to have the best lighting, because if not, you're going to end up missing so much of the defects. And when you pull it out in the sun, because this kind of is a representation of natural lighting. So if you pull it out in the sun without these, you're going to end up with probably see marring and still some defects left behind.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you can hit the strobe lights and put on some dance music.
Yes.
And change out all the LEDs.
That's right.
Okay. Have a little rave.
You know this well. So next up, again, it's all about having the correct lights. Scan grip, for those who are getting into the paint correction, Scan grip is probably the leading industry as far as paint correction lights. So you can purchase this Scan grip light. They're like $400, or you can get a handheld, but I definitely prefer this, especially on the lower sections of the car. But again, it's going to pull out the defects, so therefore you're able to see it and you can actually fix it. Without the Scan grip lights, if you're trying to use natural lighting, it's just really hard to see the defects.
Okay.
So
You had mentioned that you like to actually, when you're working on the sides, you actually point them up.
I do,
Yeah.
because I can see, just sitting down here, you can different angle. If I'm looking down, I can't see it quite as good, but looking up, it just depends on angle, and you have to look at both. You can't just look at one
Sure.
angle, you got to do both. So I try and do up, down, just to make sure that I am seeing all the defects. When I stand up here, I can see a few here. When I come down low, look up. So again, just kind of utilizing that light in different angles is going to produce the results that you're looking for. So again, just a little tip for those guys getting into the paint correction. So this car actually has vinyl stripes, and you can actually see some little scratches in it because they scratch, but you can actually polish over vinyl with no problem. You cannot cut heavy on it because you will damage them, but don't be scared to polish over vinyl. I mean, it's not going to hurt it. It's not going to discolor, it's not going to lift it. You just can't get aggressive with it.
So what would you use for vinyl?
So for vinyl, I would use just a polish, just some type of polish.
Yeah, not that.
Or nothing that's aggressive. You don't want to use an aggressive compound, I guess is
Okay.
what I'm saying, because the compound will eat into it, and you could take the risk of damaging the actual vinyl. So again, soft foam pad, a polish over top of it, and call it.
Do you need to worry about it pulling or tugging on the edges at all, or?
Not with foam pad and polish.
Okay.
Okay, because it'll float right over top of it. And you can run it slow speed, you can run it high speed, but you're basically just floating over top of it.
Okay.
So see, here's an area that you can't get the dual action to spin. You can, but you gotta let off of it. So this is kind of where I'd use a rotary,
Okay.
because this wants to stall out because of this bend line.
All right.
So I mean, you can float it in there. But once I come down, I drop down to here. You can get it, but sometimes the rotary is best. But it's okay. If I had to take out sand marks, there's no possible way.
Right.
You'd have to use a rotary in that section. So again, we don't have deep scratches, but you cannot polish these micro scratches out, so we're doing what we call a two-step process. The first step is a wool pad, and we're using Sonox Cut Max. So it's got good cutting power, but it also has good finishing power, but it is going to mar it a little bit. So after we finish that process, we come back with the dual action. We use an orange foam pad, and we use primer polish by Geon, and that's going to bring out the gloss, and it's just going to make it look like it's coated before we actually ceramic coat the car.
And the reason it's called primer is because it's a primer for the coating.
That's right. That's right.
Because otherwise, if you just use regular polish,
Exactly.
it won't stick, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So the
'Cause
primer.
I think that would be important for most guys to know, because they may just say, "Oh, I can do this myself." They polish it with regular polish, 3M polish or whatever glaze,
Yeah.
glaze, and then they try to coat it with ceramic, and it doesn't work.
That's true. Now you could still use a different polish, but you're going to have to come back and prep wipe it, and you're going to have to just make sure that that surface is ready for coating through the prep wipe process. And it's basically alcohol and water.
Okay.
That's what it is. Once we're done with that final polish and we've got the surface it's just dialed in, we take what we call a actual prep wipe. The prep wipe is basically alcohol and water. A lot of guys will mix it themselves. I use the G-Technic version of it. And that, when we wipe it down, you've got all the residues, all the dust. If a fingerprint's on there, you're just getting that surface prepped for coating. But that's the final step.
Now, is the marring coming from the process or the heavy grit of the product?
Kind of the same. So this is a heavy grit, so I'm actually cutting pretty hard, which is leaving what we call the marring,
Okay.
and it gives it just a little cloudy look. Maybe some people wouldn't see it, but you can, if you really study it, you'll see there's cloudiness. There's a little cloudiness versus here.
Right.
So you have to get rid of the marring, but you got to cut it to get the scratches out. You just can't polish it.
Well, and it's if you ever wet sand a buff car,
Yeah, that's right.
it's cloudy until you finally get all
Exactly.
the scratches out.
Exactly. And I'm cutting off probably a 1/4 inch of detail spray. I'm kidding.
Now, in regards to pressure, you're not putting any pressure on.
Very little pressure. I'm just letting the machine work. Keeping that pad clean is critical, man. You got to keep this thing fluffed up, and a lot of guys will use a brush.
Okay.
It doesn't clean it as good as what this does.
Okay.
So I'm always, every time I'm blowing it out, keeping the pad clean, just to make sure we have good cutting.
Well, if they're having to use a brush on it or a screwdriver,
Yeah.
they're using too much compound
That's right.
because it builds up in there.
I mean, you
the
can see
way you do it,
there's not
it's
much.
just residue. Yeah, it's just dust.
There's not. That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so one of the big things that I've seen that gets missed, even on the correction side and even on the painting side, the nibbing, but what I call is edge work. So I can finish this out here, but you can tell my tool's not going to get straight up against this. So I'm missing this edge work. So when we're done, you'll be able to step back and go, oh, there's still some stuff along the edges. So what I tend to do is to go back to the 3-inch tool, and I can get nice and tight. And I'll just give you a little example of what I do for edge work. So this tool I can get in here nice and tight. And I'll even stand it up just a little bit. I'll rotate it so you can actually get right on the edge. But you got to make sure, like this door flushness, it's a little positive to here. The best thing to do would be to open this door and really get in there. But we've got a pretty nice gap. I know that I'm not going to burn this edge, and I can actually do the edge work. So it's kind of case by case, pending the panel flushness. So that's what I call edge work. Make sure you do it. Yeah, the whole wet sanding process, man, it's intense. For sure. That looks 10 times better.
Oh yeah, it was in
It
need
was
of
nasty of help. Oh man, yeah. We're getting ready for the final step, and this is panel wipe by G-Technic, and it's basically alcohol and water, and we're going to remove all of this dust, oils, resins, fingerprints, squeaky clean, making sure everything is prepped for the coating so it bonds to the clear coat. What you'll see with this prep wipe, it makes everything like really light up.
Oh yeah, I was looking at it. And you don't go back over to let it evaporate.
Correct. Well, no, I make sure there's nothing.
You do double it. Okay.
I do double it. I want to make sure there's no residue.
Right.
Left behind.
Even though it evaporates.
Yeah, I just double. A lot of guys don't, but I don't want there any cross contamination between the coating and the prep wipe.
Right.
All right, this is what we came for. This is the big show.
Crystal Serum Ultra,
Okay.
9-year warranty coating, 10H hardener. So we're getting ready to install right now. We're doing it with just a microfiber applicator. And I like laying it on heavy. Some guys are like, you just need 2 or 3 drops. No, you do not. You need to give the customer what they pay for. You need to load it up. Always kind of just start. You don't want to get too big of a section. Okay, I didn't hit the corner.
Yeah, you did good.
And just kind of work it in, the crosshatch. And you got about 30 seconds and it starts crystallizing. So you've got to be on your game getting it off.
Yeah, you can't stop and take lunch and.
No, but you can just feel the slickness.
Oh yeah, I can see by
Just immediate. Yeah. Now, something unique about Crystal Serum. This is not something you're going to find at O'Reilly's or AutoZone.
No.
You have to be a certified installer, correct?
Correct. You have to be accredited, and you can get that accreditation through G-Technic, but you have to have a storefront, a shop, and you have to have a certain amount of ceramic coatings, even up to getting certified.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there is some criteria from G-Technic. If you miss this, what we call push, so I'm wiping off, and this has a tendency to push,
Okay.
which will leave coating here, and if you miss that, you're basically going to cut it off with compound, and sometimes I've had to water sand it off.
Oh my goodness.
So it's that durable, it bonds that much to the clear coat. So you just want to double check, make sure you don't have any push, because it happens to the best. Not saying I'm the best, but it happens to everybody.
nature of the beast.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-step. You're using a foam applicator pad.
Correct.
And then you wipe it with a microfiber, and then you do a second pass with a clean microfiber.
Yes, because it loads the microfibers up quick. So we've got 8 microfiber towels right here, and I'll probably end up using all 8.
Okay.
Because if you start doing too much, you start wiping off, that you end up with that push, and it just doesn't wipe off good.
All right. And you were saying these are pretty much one and done when it comes to the microfibers.
That's correct. We do use them for cleaning up the shop, you know, wiping down equipment, stuff like that.
But that
Not on the finish.
that ceramic coating comes and dries so hard
Crystallizes.
that crystallization basically makes that rag just a good mop-up shop rag.
That's right. That's right.
Now, how big of an area do you try to treat in one go?
Usually 4x4. They say 3x3, but if you've done it for a while, 4x4 is probably the biggest you want to go.
Okay.
So yeah, you could do half of the tailgate, finish it out, but not too much, because they can get away from you. And again, I use a lot of material. They say, you know, 5 or 6 drops, but I never was a 5 or 6 kind of drop guy. I like giving the customer what they pay for. If I can get it off, I want to make sure it's on there.
How far does a bottle run you? I mean, does it survive more than one car, or?
Depending on the car. So we could probably do 2 cars this size with 1 bottle.
Okay.
But there is only 1 warranty card per bottle.
Ah.
So a lot of guys won't, you know, they basically just use all the product and they don't give the warranty because of that reason. They're trying to save money, and that's fine if that's up to them. But for me, you're going to get a warranty sticker, you're going to register to the car, and then the rest of this material I will use on wheels. It's really good on wheels. It's really good on glass.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I'll use up the product, but customer's always going to get their warranty.
Boy, you can see it really haze up. That's really funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super thick. Like I said, you better get it off. You've got really working time, at best, a minute and a half.
Oh, wow.
2 max. See, I can already tell these towels are loading up on me.
I was going to say, that's the end of these towels, huh?
Yeah, like I'll flip them, I'll reverse them.
Sure.
I want to make sure I get this off first. The goal is not to have any push at all. She's slick, man. I mean, it's slick. It's taking it well. Some aftermarket paints, they're all different how it responds, but this one's taking it really well.
You know, I'm a firm believer. PPG.
Yeah.
Have never been disappointed in PPG color or paint.
Yeah, that's good. Making sure I got it all. Always like to double check, triple check, quadruple check. Because if I do miss, it's going to be not going to be good. I hope you're happy with it.
Oh, I'm tickled to
I
death.
mean, it looks.
What else can you do?
The color is. The clarity's good.
Yes.
That's what I'm seeing. The clarity's good, and your gloss is good.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so we're pretty much all wrapped up here at Extreme Detailing. We really got to thank Dan Baker for giving us 2 days worth of his time to totally transform the Hemi Cuda. I at first didn't think there was going to be a whole heck of a lot for him to do, but after he showed all the little nuances, all the little micro scratches, we could really see what he was looking at, and that just speaks to his level of detail. So The other half of that was how responsive the paint was to all the work that you had done, which speaks to all the work that Mike had done in preparing the car and really getting this car painted and looking as good as it was. So if you guys are equally as interested as we are in the process, we're going to have more information for you in the article that's going to be attached to this video, as well as putting all of Extreme Detailing's contact information. We're going to have all that information down in the description. So, you can also visit Dan at Extreme Detailing on Facebook. It's pretty easy to find. It's Pell City, Alabama, and he'll have all of his phone number and email there too as well. And again, if you just totally want to take your car to the next level, doesn't matter if it's a late model Challenger or a classic Hemi Cuda like this, definitely hit up Dan, because you'll be totally floored like we were. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, maybe leave a comment and share it with your friends, help us grow the channel. And if you want more awesome Mopar content, please come and visit us at www.moparconnectionmagazine.com, where new articles are written and published every single day, Monday through Friday, entirely subscription free to you. We'll see you there.